Richardson of Sangre de Cristo Arts Center. The reason why I wanted to talk with you was not just because you've brought in some major exhibitions featuring Picasso, Matisse, Chagall, and Ansel Adams, but you've also focused the Art Center on local and regional artists, everything from steampunk to outsider art and the more traditional Southwest art that Sangre de Cristo has been known for. First, how are you doing, and how's the Art Center navigating COVID-19?
Oh, it's a challenge. I mean, it redefines every letter in that word. But John, 5 weeks ago, I had 42 employees. Today, I have 5 full-time and 3 part-time. Everybody else had to be laid off because we really run a tight ship, and the cash situation here is not great. It's a different world. And yes, I'm in my office, but I think I'm one of only 2 people in the whole art center right now because we are working, sequestered. But it's a challenge. Every day I think about it and think about how do we, as a gathering place for people, as a place where people come to have an experience, how do we remain relevant in the COVID-19 crisis when we were ordered shuttered? And it's been interesting to think about, considering our conversation just coming into this about, using the web and having more of a presence that way, telling stories that way. So, out of the box that first week, I'm sure you were inundated with emails or requests for funding, people saying, oh my gosh, our doors are closed. And one of the things we did, we looked at that and said, boy, that's tough. We're all in the same boat together. But what we did is we called our major donors and we called our grandparent members and we asked them, can we do something for you? Can we go pick up a prescription? Can somebody go to the grocery store? Do you need a fax sent? And we did that. We're still doing that for people right now. The reaction was heartwarming. People were just like, wow, you're not asking me for money. You're asking how you can help me. And I would just, the team here was like, we got time on our hands. And if we can help you, we'd like to help you. You've been here for us. We want to be here for you. And it was met with a wonderful response. People were calling back and saying, I can't believe you asked me. And a few people took us up on it, which was great.
Well, I think that illustrates how there's a change that everybody's relearning what it means to be what they are. And I think you bring up a good point. Have you, in this time, being one of a few and having to lay off so many employees, rethought what it means to be an arts center in this time?
Again, I go back to, how do we stay relevant and maybe relevant even when we reopen on more levels? I have to take my hat off to the fabulous staff that I work with. Nan Wainwright, our artistic director in the School of Dance, immediately started, she started the whole Zoom thing here and dance classes, on the web. We pushed out, we contacted District 60 and District 70 saying, normally when you come to our Children's Museum, you can take away a wow bag, an art kit. But of course, you can't come into the Children's Museum now. Can we provide those? Unfortunately, District 60 and 70 turned us down. But Catholic Charities took us up on it. They said, we're putting out these food kits for families, these food bags for families every week. Wouldn't it be cool if there were some art kits in those? So now we're cranking out about 180 to 200 a week. We've got our volunteers that we drop stuff off. They assemble the packets. And then on Wednesday, we drop them off. Our Catholic Charities comes over here, they grab them, and, we're getting some cool pictures back. So those are just ways that, we're trying to say, well, you can't come here, but we can still do stuff for you. So just trying to look at it that way. And are there other things? But again, it's tough because we don't have that many staffers here right now. Just trying to hold on to all these different pieces it's interesting.
How hard is it for you to see, you said you went from full employment to a swift and drastic reduction. How hard has been the personal toll of seeing an organization like yours um, have to go through that.
Breaks my heart, John. I mean, again, this is such a wonderful in-your-face place, and I'm the kind of guy that works when I see someone, it stimulates me to think about what we're working together. And not seeing anybody is tough, and not interacting with visitors. Not, you set up a show and you have some ideas about what you might want people to think about, but until they have that experience and you get that reaction, you don't know. And I miss that. I miss that tremendously. I miss tremendously all the great conversations I'd have every day with all the cool people that work here. And, just worried about them, worried about how they're doing, because this is such a socially interactive place. And, I've personally talked to at least 70% of those people, just saying, how you doing? What's going on? Have you gotten on unemployment yet? We are trying to get on the Paycheck Protection Program, but unfortunately, I found out today that all the money's used up. Hopefully there'll be another round, but it gets back to the essence of this place is we're about people and we're for people, and not being able to do that, it's forced a different kind of creativity of how we can keep that connection. It's also, the funding model. I mean, just got the letter yesterday from the mayor that probably will be drastically reduced or no more funding from the city the rest of this year. That's a big chunk of my budget. How are we going to figure that out? And so, working on that to say, well, and then how are we going to reopen? I doubt we're just going to throw our doors open when that date comes. I think we're going to be stepped into it. You can only imagine in 5 weeks how many rentals we've canceled, how many performances we canceled. I calculated here in through April 30th, we'll have lost $75,000 in earned rent income. And there's no going back to get that. Lost marketing money, marketing opportunity, but you can't stay focused on that stuff. That's not, we'll figure it out. We always have, and our funders have been generous. They've supported us. A while back, I think we talked about that couple in Chicago that's donating that amazing contemporary Southwest collection, how their collection dovetails with the Francis King collection here. I was talking to them about 2 weeks ago. They were concerned, they feel that certainly the Art Center is part of their legacy. And we hung up, we just said what was going on. They're in an assisted living place in Chicago. But 2 hours later, Charles White calls me up and he says, Jim, I'm going to send you $10,000. I think you guys need that. And, that to me just demonstrates the value and the power of the relationships. And that it was unsolicited. And it was really funny because Charles said, you do anything you want with it. Why don't you, when the staff gets back together, why don't you get ice cream and champagne for everybody? So, how cool is that to work in a job where you work with people like that? It's heartwarming. But it's tough not to have people here. It really is. And tough to let them go like that because, with no earned income, we run out of money real fast.
So let me ask then a direct question in terms of your organization. How do you make it whole again with the funding, so many cuts to staff, cuts to programming? How do you just make this whole and recover, or is this expected that you won't be whole when we reopen it, maybe a year or 2 years before Sangre de Cristo returns to where it was, say on February 1st, 2020?
I can't imagine that we're going to be whole. I am a person who relishes planning. I'm a person who relishes executing the plan, and all bets and all plans are out the window. We felt very proud and very strong at the beginning of the year, having been reaccredited by, the American Alliance of Museums, our gold standard. And, we put together a 5-year plan, and we were starting to do capital projects. When we reopen, I want to get you back in here to see the new Rawlings Learning Center and the garden level of the Buell Well, all that's out the window. I don't know. I don't like saying I don't know, but to say anything else, I'd be a liar. There's so many things I don't know. I mean, will we open? The governor still says April 26th. The county told me April 30th. But what will that be like? I don't know. How many people will I need to do that? I don't know. And I'm just going to get freaking T-shirts made that say I don't know, because I don't. But I want to be honest with people, and again, it's just hard to some organizations, like what you do, you can do it remotely. So much of what we do here is about human contact, and we know human contact right now is the invitation of the devil, COVID-19. And that's hard. That's really, really hard. Now, that's why I say to people here, you're better off at home. We really, and where's the testing? We need to be tested. To a different tangent, but it's a reality, and I don't know how long it's going to take to. I don't know if when you say back to February 1st, 2020, I don't know if we'll ever get back to that reality, John. I don't. I think it's going to be a new world.
Well, and this, you kind of addressed the question that I wanted to ask, was because the entire art gallery museum experience, as you just said, is based on the physical nature of being in front of a piece of art, or in your case, the Children's Museum, which is such an integral part of Southern Colorado life. And you've been nationally recognized for what that Children's Museum has been able to do. But going to a gallery may not be the same this year, and it may not be the same next year. We just don't know. As you said, we just don't know. But how does this force an art center and an art gallery and a children's museum to rethink the digital nature of an art experience or a creative experience? Is it too soon to tell how you will move into this? I mean, it's so early, or are you already thinking in how you can shift a little bit?
Well, by our very nature, we're experimenters. We're a place that relishes and nurtures creativity. So it provides an opportunity. And I don't know if you've had a chance to go on the website, but we've launched a few things. The color and color with, little pieces on the arts. Is it a good piece? I'm waiting to hear some feedback. We're trying it. Feedback from the School of Dance seems really positive in that regard. Will we learn stuff and be able to then archive it and have it? Sure. It's another facet that I'm very interested in following, and what will it take, to maintain that, and will it be relevant? The other part of it, of course, the reality we talked about earlier, how do we pay for it? How do we, you hate to use the term monetize, but I'm not a Buddhist monk working for my food and, that sort of thing. I mean, there's all of those puzzles that have to be worked out, but we're experimenting. We're looking at things. This conversation with you, it's interesting. It's keeping us live, and hopefully more people will see it. Reaching out to donors was really interesting. So stay tuned. Watch the website. We're going to be offering other things. We've got this fabulous Gray and Gray, this father-daughter exhibition opening in the Hogue Gallery. He's a fabulous potter, and she creates landscape paintings from earth. She goes to a site, grounds up the material, and then puts it. Maybe at a different date, a week or so, I can give you a virtual tour of her stuff. But all that works for sale. Well, nobody can come here. So we're looking at, working with Ludell and Liz and Alyssa, getting all those pieces online and letting people review them that way. And will we have sales? I don't know, but we're going to try. We'll see what that's like. We're adjusting our exhibition schedule. We're cutting exhibits because who knows when we'll open. I'm so grateful that we're doing that amazing fine art glass show, and I know the collector well, and George Strempel is allowing us to keep the exhibition into early 2021. So we'll keep it open for 6 months or longer. which is great. It's a huge effort. We're still working out the details of extended insurance and the shipping, but he's a guy who said, hey, it's not going anywhere else. Why don't you guys keep it and see what you can do with it? We're trying to figure out our gala right now. Are we even going to have a gala?
So I mean, obviously everything sort of your traditional fundraising models has just gone up in smoke because you can't, be physical. But the one thing that I always find interesting past the fundraising is when you compare Sangre de Cristo with what's happening in, say, Denver, the Denver Art Museum, or some of the other smaller art museums that have, exponentially larger budgets. Why is protecting smaller creatives and a small city art center so important, in your words?
Well, I go back to the founding of the Art Center, and to Kathy Farley and Pat Kelly in the 1960s when this was the second largest city in Colorado. This was the steel capital of the West. It was an industrial town. What's left over there of Bessemer reminds me as a kid growing up in Chicago what Gary, Indiana was like. Their idea was that, this town needs a new identity. And I think this art center has been a huge part of that identity. The art center came before the mural project, came before the river walk, all those kinds of things before CSUP moved over, out east and north. It captures that energy of creativity. And, as we do the local exhibitions, just this Gray and Gray and things like that, Color and Color, which are all artists from around here, it captures that spirit of creativity, which I think it's absolutely essential. I don't mean to talk about another publication, but that other daily paper that's here, we won't mention their name. But, I had the opportunity after a trip to France last fall to write an article about visiting one of the prehistoric caves. I don't know if you had a chance to read that article, but it was kind of a place on my bucket list. It's a privately owned site, and we were able to get in there. Getting back to creativity, here are these drawings. They're somewhere between 8,000 and 15,000 years old, made in this cave. They're made 2 kilometers down into this cave, okay? So 10,000 years ago, no flashlights, no warm clothes, what are you even making the marks with? These people had to create. And some of these lines, John, are amazing. I think that essence is still with us. We need to create, and we need to experience it. And whether we pay for it or not, it's something that's important to our being. And I think that's a part of the law that the Art Center offers to Pueblo as a community and spills off into other things and other ideas. It's a part of our identity.
Well, on that note, how then in an age when the monetary support is disrupted, maybe cut off for a long time, how do you support creatives in Colorado and Southern Colorado if the money is such an issue? How can your Sangre de Cristo support, but also how can these artists be supported and also rewarded for their work in this time?
Well, I go back specifically to what I just mentioned about Gray and Gray and getting their work online and seeing if people will purchase it, sharing it that way. I'm hopeful that something will come out of that. We also received a donation of a huge art book collection, fabulous. We really don't need the books here. We're gonna start putting those online and trying to sell them, sharing that with people. So those are 2 humble models, but we'll explore it. We're also blessed with some people deep pockets that are willing to help us. I don't know how long that'll continue or to what level, but I'm impressed that the mayor convinced Pedco to put a $5 million fund together for us. I'm like everybody else, getting my application. I want to apply for that. We're looking at the SBA for possibly a loan, seeing what that will be like. So we're experimenting, we're searching, I'm sure like every other organization right now, especially nonprofits, what's going to happen and what we are going to look like at the end of the year. and next year, the year after. This is a conversation that's going to go on for a while, because
Yeah,
it's forcing us all to reinvent a lot of things, rethink the way we think about things.
I think that's a common theme in my conversations with creatives, is that there is no answer right now. So it's all experimentation. But something with creatives is that they've also experienced hardship. A lot of, starving artists is a well-known saying. But what I would ask is what I've been asking other creatives in the institution: what gives you hope, beyond just looking at the daily balance sheet or the projected revenues, but in terms of the creativity and the art, and what gives you hope,
Sure.
that you're excited about coming forward in say 2020? So once we get past this, gives you hope and excitement about art and Sangre de Cristo?
Well, the fact that, we're getting such a positive feedback from the online dance classes, the fact that there's a demand for the art kits to keep going out, the fact that we've got plenty of volunteers volunteering to put them together. We're still doing that people interactivity thing, even though it's parceled out and the people aren't together at one time, we're still accomplishing it in a different way. And that gives me hope. It gave me hope when we called our donors and said, what can we do for you? And they were like blown away, just saying, my God. Gives me hope that our friends in Chicago out of the blue say, we're going to send you 10 grand, unsolicited. So people see this as a vital activity. They want to contribute to it to make it happen. I'm hoping we'll do well with the glass show, even if we have to open up in a limited manner or only let so many people in here at a time. I'm hoping. But there's certain things that we do well, and when we get the galleries back open, I think people will respond again. You've been to the Children's Museum how many times? I mean, the kids love it there. We're looking forward to that. We won't be doing as many shows as we used to because, again, the funding crunch. I don't have the funds to do that. But we're seeing. Well, I want to experiment with the idea. Maybe we can get some media artists to play around with the marquee outside, do some art on it. Other than the art that we currently project. So. At our essence, we are all about creativity and nurturing it, and that's being tested right now. And I've shared with you a couple of different ways in which we're trying to do that. But the response and the demand is still there, asking us for things, and that's heartening, as well as the response to people about supporting us.
I think and my last question to you is this: I think that there's when people think of an art center or fine arts center, they think that it's a stuffy institution, just art on the walls, that it's not for everyone. But of all the times in recent history that supporting local art is important, because it's not just having a 500-year-old piece on the wall or a 100-year-old piece by some French master. It really is about local artists having a home where they can get exposure and also show their art to a larger audience. How would you push past that barrier that many people think that an art center is just a stuffy institution that doesn't connect with them?
First of all, I couldn't even apply the word barrier to that, because there are no barriers here. That seems to be a myth in some people's minds. Anybody who would come here and see a child or a caregiver of a child interact in the Children's Museum would in an instant see the essence of creativity and what's happening and where ideas go, the power of association. The fact that we hang some very expensive pieces of art on the wall here, those objects serve as inspiration. It's cool to be going through here with a guy like Ed Scheibel and Ed saying, well, I didn't see something that way before. Or, the Mendozas or Ed Poza, people that are, artists in their own right. They made it. They're comfortable with what they do, but they come here for inspiration. They come here to have a dialogue with other people. When we do those group shows, to see the artists speaking with each other, it's more than just about a place for them to gain exposure for their work, but for their work to be informed or how they work. And I think that that's another level of relevance and a role that we play, and we play it very well. People coming here for ceramic classes, people coming here for drawing classes, the wine classes that we have here, the dance classes. People are honing their craft by coming here, or beginning what turns into their life work. Elliot King is my most favorite story. Started here drawing when he was 12 years old, and now he's one of the world experts on Dali. Kid in Pueblo, Colorado. Pretty darn cool.
Central graduate too, by the way. So we'll just
okay. Well, thanks. Another addition, but it's how do you measure those things? How do you put that's worth X amount of dollars? It's priceless. And these kids that are starting out now, with ballet, and we've got people dancing all over the country. The school's been going for 47 years. Pretty amazing. Here in Pueblo, Colorado. Is there a 47-year-old dance school in Denver? I'm not aware of one. Is there a 47-year-old dance school in Colorado Springs? I'm not aware of one. So we're got a lot of things going on. We've got a great Western art collection. Certainly, the Denver Art Museum has one better, but we still have one that's quite accomplished. The Taos 10, well represented, lots of other work. The Santos and Retablos collection, Gene Kloss, all these things speak about what it is to be in the Southwest and the essence of the Southwest speaking back through art forms. Pretty powerful, giving us a sense of place. What's the value of those things? So,
Jim, Sangre de Cristo, I appreciate you coming on, and I wish you the best in this very difficult time.
Hey, John, I just want to say we appreciate what the PULP does. I think you guys bring a cool point of view, your in-depth look at things, always a joy to read. So yes, COVID-19 does not discriminate. We're all in it together. I'm glad to see you're healthy. I count my blessings that I'm healthy, and let's see what we can do together. I appreciate your attention for the Art Center. Be well, my friend.